welcome back to Triple Shot Sports. I am your host, Brandon Combs, alongside my boy, Hoffy. Hoffy, what is going on, buddy?
What's up? What's up, boss? How we doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing good. We had a crazy day of football today. It's been a crazy season of football, to be honest with you.
Sure.
How's I know we've been off for a couple weeks. How's life treating you?
Yeah, I was wondering. if we were going to get back on this, or if you were really kicking me to the curb. I saw you were, telling Mike, hey, let's hook up on that Sunday. Leaving me for Chip Cannon. I see how it is.
Never that, man. Never leaving you for Chip Cannon.
Please don't leave me with that clown.
Man hour chiming in. Let's go.
Sit down and get ready for your Chiefs because they're getting their butts spanked. If that's Buck. Got the Raiders tonight, baby. Woo!
Buck, if that is you, head over to the YouTube page. Chime in on the YouTube page for sure. But no, for real. So we've had a couple of weeks off. I've been getting things going on the Man Hour. Got a lot of good things happening over there. So I'm blessed to be a part of that show for sure. Got some exciting news over the last week and a half or so. Going to be on Big X Radio with the Man Hour. Every Saturday at 9 a.m., so feel free to check that out. But we were talking a little bit about the direction of this show, you and I, and, I feel, and we were talking, and hopefully the fans can chime in here. If you're listening, let us know what you guys think too, but thinking about turning this into a baseball show, talking pretty much all baseball, and just, we'll talk about our, the hot stove stuff. We'll talk about top 10 lists, top 5 lists, whatever the case is. And then come, time for the season, obviously we'll have, in-season stuff to talk about. But I really think that would take off. I think a lot of people would love to listen to a little bit of baseball talk. I know, Jared is big into baseball. I know, we've got a couple other guys who listen who are big into baseball. So, look, I'm definitely up for that, and I know you are too, Hoffy.
Yeah, if only you had some baseball knowledge would be all right, but, it is what it is.
Oh, man, and so we start already. All right.
I mean,
well, maybe
you did decide not to play with me in the state tournament. You decided to play with a bunch of losers instead.
Hey, now. I stayed faithful to my guys, and hey, we showed up that tournament.
I don't know what
faithful is.
Sunday. No such thing as loyalty here, baby. Jump ship all day.
God, I hope your wife isn't watching. But at any rate, we're definitely going to get into some more baseball talk. Starting here probably next week, I think we'll turn this into an all baseball show. So, exciting news, exciting different directions for the show. I think, especially here on the All Access Sports Network, I think you got a lot of shows that do all of the sports. So if you want to listen to guys' takes on a little bit of everything, then, those are the shows for you. I just don't feel there's enough baseball talk on this network. So here we are. You and I both are baseball guys. First and foremost, we know the game, we study the game, and we play the game. So I think it's going to be a great new direction for the show, and I'm excited for that.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't believe Griffey's just hit, was it 50 or 51 the other day? It seems like it was just yesterday we were watching him on the ball field.
Yeah, Griffey was one of those... He was just one of those rare talents, and it's a shame that he couldn't stay healthy in the latter part of his career, because I really feel like he could have been, a guy who chased down Bonds for that home run record, and really kept pace with him, because Griffey was just a different animal. Man, that swing is still the sweetest swing I've ever seen. Just pure
effortless,
and effortless for sure. So that was definitely one of my favorites growing up. I'll never forget watching his. He came out. He had a tutorial when I was in school on how to hit and how to hold the bat and how to grip it. So I just remember emulating that and watching his style, and didn't help me out too much, but hey, I remember emulating it.
My emulations were Jordan and Griffey, and I remember my dad, who was always my coach. You're not Michael Jordan. Put your tongue in your mouth, and you're not Griffey. Stop shaking the bat.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So it's definitely going to be a great direction. You guys tell us, Jared, chime in. Let Jared's already chiming in. I'd rather watch Griffey swing than watch Pornhub.
And we all know how much he likes that.
So
that's why he's a Vikings fan.
Yeah, no kidding. But no, he's a good kid. I love giving him shit. We go back and forth a lot between Bears and Vikings, obviously. And, we do share a hatred for the Packers. And we did just watch the Packers lose in overtime. So we're both a little ecstatic about that. But
I can't stand playing against him because he'll hit the fucking short third gap. And then once I move over there and playing for that, he hits it right to, where I should be at shortstop, little prick.
So we'll get into a lot of that. Let us know what you guys want to hear. Our first top 10 list will be next weekend. Let us know what you guys want us to make our top 10 list about baseball related for next week. So
why Barry Bonds is not in the top 10?
Right. Fuck. Anybody who thinks that is just never watched a game of baseball. That's plain and simple. So at any rate, let's get into some of this football talk, man. It's been a crazy day. Watching some highlights right now in the background, waiting for the Sunday night game to start. Mm-hmm. And the one that I'm watching right now, the highlight is the Joe Burrow injury, man. And that's a tough injury for the Cincinnati Bengals and for Joe Burrow, because he was playing. Granted, I get their record; they're 2-7-1, but he was playing pretty good football. He just not a whole lot of weapons around him.
Mm-hmm,
but the kid has a bright future ahead of him. Still has a bright future. Hopefully, there's nothing major going on with that leg. Hopefully, we don't have an Alex Smith situation. And we'll see Joe Burrow's back in about a year or so. But man, what a tough spot for the Bengals.
Yeah, my boy Tom Brady's career completion percentage is 66%. I think Burrows is at 65 this year. He's 10th in yards, 276 per game, 12 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, which people look at that, but he's also, third in the league for most sacks. So they definitely they got to shore up that offensive line for him. So when he does come back, they can protect him, because that's going to be the downfall of him is, 32 sacks this year. So
yeah, for sure. And the hit that he took by Chase Young, man, that caused that fumble in the first half. Did you see that hit?
Oh, yeah.
That was vicious, man. And he's taking hits like that. And I said that earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
I said the hits that he is taking, that Joe Burrow is taking, I'm worried for his safety.
Yep.
And he just takes some vicious hits. I don't know if it's just because he's not a very big guy as a quarterback that it just looks more violent when he gets hit. But man, it's it just looks so bad.
He's still young. He's got to fill out a little bit, but yeah, you saw it in one of the games where he was mic'd up. Him and the ref were talking. He talked about how he needed, he had learned his lesson the previous week and wanted to slide, more. So yeah, but I think it's an ACL, a PCL, and an MCL. If that was Buck that just chimed in, but I think he's going to have all three are going to be torn. So, yeah, I think 9 to 12 months. So, hopefully we see him sometime, week 4 or so next season.
We got a couple ideas coming in already for our top 10. Best hitter versus the shift. And
me.
Go right after it. The top 10 baseball players not to win a World Series. That's a good one, too, man. I like both of those, to be honest with you.
Griffey's right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then... But yeah, no. Getting back to the Burrow injury to me, man, is just it's a very tough injury at a very tough time. So hopefully the kid isn't out for too long, and we get get to see him back before a full year or two. So
hopefully it's not an RG3 where we never see the guy again. But he has an arm and he can actually throw. He's not he doesn't rely on his mobility as much as some of those other mobile quarterbacks. So, yeah, I think he's hopefully his confidence will not be shaken, and hopefully he'll be all right.
Speaking of mobile quarterbacks, man, Lamar Jackson. And I defended this guy against Buckheiser, because Buckheiser is out there talking about how Lamar is trash and this and that. I said, look, he's not trash, but he's not playing very well right now. And this guy cannot lead a team back when they are down. He just can't.
Yeah.
And, the fumble in overtime, just everything just went wrong for him when they're down. Like, he can't perform under pressure.
Yeah,
and that's not a good sign for Baltimore moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's a team that has to build their confidence on that first drive and just and get things clicking. And if they don't, like you said, and they fall down early, we saw it against New England. They went up, New England came back and took the lead, and from that point on, Lamar Jackson was not the same. So yeah, it's all about that first drive and clicking. And unless they running all game long, it seems that he can't find his click in the middle of the game unless he's been there all game.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things too. And I've listened, and Soup Boss was actually a big proponent of the 10-point lead is his kryptonite. Like, he cannot come back when he's down by 10 points or more.
Yeah.
And I didn't subscribe to it at first, but the more and more I watch this kid play, the more and more I believe that it's true. When they get down and he's pressing, man, he makes mistakes. He makes a lot of bad decisions. He's got to get that fixed. He's got to get that righted. He does have the talent to be a very good quarterback, a very good winning quarterback in this league. He's just got some stuff to figure out. He's still young.
Absolutely.
What's he in his third season now?
Mm-hmm.
So he's in his third season. He's still a winning quarterback in the league. But they've got an uphill battle with that offense.
Yeah,
right now.
And much like your Bears, they're built around defense. So I mean, he only needs 20 plus points a game for them, 23 plus points a game for the most part, because his defense is going to do a lot of the work for him. But yeah, he's definitely got to step it up. I think he averaged three yards a rush today. That's not Lamar like. So yeah, he's definitely got to pick it up.
Comments: Lamar never gets hit square. RG3, they drafted someone. RG3 should play Lamar sucks. More like Teddy Bridgewater.
But yeah, we saw it last year with the Chiefs and Mahomes. They were down 21-0 in the AFC Championship game, and he came back and won that game. You're not going to see that with Lamar Jackson.
So let me ask you then, going forward, taking Buck's last comment here. More like Teddy Bridgewater. Who would you rather have moving forward right now with the team? Would you rather have Lamar Jackson leading your team or Teddy Bridgewater?
Teddy Bridgewater.
Really?
I do. I've always liked Teddy Bridgewater. I think the Vikings made a mistake on giving up on him, and I think the Saints made a mistake on maybe not so much a mistake, but because they owed it to Breeze to bring him back, and I understand why they got Hill, and you got Winston on a hell of a steal, but I think they're gonna struggle to find a solid quarterback in New Orleans, and that's an option that I think they're gonna wish they might have stuck with.
Yeah, I mean, and look, the Panthers went out and did their thing today. I did not see them beating Detroit, let alone shutting out Detroit. I don't know what the hell's going on in Detroit. At the beginning of the year, I'm like, they're not going to be anything, and they proved it, and then they started winning. I'm like, well, maybe they're a little bit better than I thought. Maybe they are that 8-8 type team. And then they
hold on.
Out, man,
Galladay wasn't there today, so part-time Nerd Boss is going to chime in on that one. But Matty Stafford is not the real deal. I've never been sold on him.
Really?
Yeah. What do you have? One touchdown, one interception against that Panthers defense, which I've thought all year they're just kind of a defense away from being decent. I think they need one star wide receiver. I mean, Anderson for the Panthers has been playing out of his mind, and I think he's a solid receiver. But yeah, I think they could use a receiver or a tight end, and they're just a defense away from competing in that NFC South, I think.
Man, I don't agree with you on Matt Stafford at all. I think Matt Stafford is a very good quarterback who has never really had an organization that builds around him, which is why
I will give you that.
Which is why you saw Megatron retire early, which is why you saw Barry Sanders retire early, and granted, Matthew Stafford has stuck it out, but this is just the Detroit Lions are not an organization that can build a championship team, and I think Matthew Stafford, if you put him in basically anywhere else that's not named Cleveland or the New York Jets, I believe that he has a completely different career. I believe he has a Hall of Fame career.
I just don't trust him in crunch time. He seems to find a way to just throw it to the opposite team or take that bad sack towards the end of the game or when they need that big play. And he just doesn't have that it factor, and that's where I stand with that one. That's why I'm not sold on him. I do understand it's Detroit.
I mean, maybe argument.
Maybe you put him with Indianapolis in that defense, and sure, then I would say okay. Yeah. But like you said, when it's in Cincinnati and it's in Detroit, it's tough to say it's the player and not the organization. But I think I'm going to go with both more so.
It's a fair argument, and look, we're talking about him not being able to score on a really bad defense, and if you watched me on the Man Hour, or if you've listened to me on Triple Shot Sports in the past, I am a big, big proponent for Jameis Winston. And the New Orleans Saints did not start Jameis Winston this week. They started Taysom Hill, and they started him against a very bad Atlanta defense. So we're going to take a break real quick, and when we get back from break, we are going to go ahead and talk about that one, because I have got some stuff to say about that, and you will hear what I have to say right here next. Give me probably about 30 seconds.
I'm no rap god or rap devil, I'm the rap Jesus. Rap needs this, who's Mises? Ask me shit, hell no, I don't fuck with 3-6. Losing my patience, please don't approach me. Give me my paycheck. Don't let you owe me. That go for anybody, anywhere, anytime of the day. Bitches, give me this phone. This is a stick up, I pick up on pillows, I'm pimple. And pick you up, when you get your pimples. This shit is so simple. I rip with a sickle, then rip you and stick you with pencil.
Alright, so we are back, and before we went to break, I was talking about the New Orleans Saints and their decision to go with Taysom Hill over Jameis Winston. And I said if Jameis Winston takes over for Drew Brees, that he is going to be able to run this offense in a manner that they are going to average 35 to 40 points a game. And I completely believe that, especially with the schedule that they had while Drew Brees is going to be out. And I said once he starts doing that, Drew Brees isn't getting his starting job back. And then over the course of the week, Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints decided we're going with Taysom Hill. And Taysom Hill comes out and puts up 10 points in the first quarter. Should have only been 3 because the referees absolutely, positively missed an offensive pass interference on that long bomb downfield that they ultimately ended up calling a catch and down by contact as opposed to a fumble. But that should have been passed. I mean, he threw the defender 5 yards out of his way to go up and get that ball. So it should have only been 3 points on that Atlanta defense in the first half, and that was bad in itself. He did come out. He had an okay second half. He had those 2 rushing touchdowns, which, again, it's not something that I don't think Jameis Winston couldn't have done. I think that Jameis Winston, to quite honestly, wouldn't have had to do it because I think they would have been up by a lot more points. So I think that the Saints moving forward absolutely need to rethink this whole Taysom Hill thing. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, they won with Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill looked good. There's no, and I was laughing the entire time because the announcers were talking, oh, Taysom Hill, it looks so easy for him. Looks so easy. What do you mean it looks so easy for him? He put up 24 points on the Atlanta Falcons. You know who put up more points than that on the Atlanta Falcons? The Chicago freaking Bears. The Chicago freaking Bears. Taysom Hill did not have a good day. Taysom Hill did not look good as a starting quarterback. He did not look comfortable as a starting quarterback. So to have Taysom Hill in there over Jameis Winston to me is a joke. And to be honest with you, I almost want to say that it's because they're afraid of what he's going to be capable of doing and not being able to bring Drew Brees back.
Oh,
that's
now
what
you're
I think's
smoking
going
the
on
pipe.
in New Orleans. I don't think I am at all. I think they know what they have in Jameis Winston, but they do not want to do that to Drew Brees. They do not want to say, hey, look, you're coming back. You're averaging, 20, 22 points a game with this offense, but now we're averaging 35 to 40. You can't you can't tell your team, hey, we're going back to Drew Brees, if that's what you're doing at that point. You just can't.
We spoke about it earlier in the week, and I said that I think this move cost them by going with Hill. And, they got lucky today. It was against the Falcons, but you saw it at the end of the game. He had that fumble. And I think you're going to get that from him. He'll have his flashy plays.
Cost him the game.
Yeah, he'll have his flashy plays. He'll get you 20 yards on the option pass, the option run, here and there. He'll get you 233 yards a game, but he's going to have those fumbles, those interceptions that you cannot have. Now, you're going to get those from Winston as well, but if you just keep it down, keep the game simple, the short passes, and, I think, it's a much different game compared to when, his offensive system he was in last year where it was just chuck it. It's a much better play system for him at this organization than it was in Tampa. But, yeah, I think I still think this Hill's, luckily they beat the Bucs already twice. So they have the head-to-head against them, but I still think this ends up costing them a position with Green Bay for that that top seed, or even costing them their home playoff game and having to go on the road.
Yeah, and I mean they've got the I believe it's it's the Broncos next week. The Broncos looked all right today.
We see what their defense can do.
And then you got the Falcons again, and then the Eagles. So you don't exactly have a tough road. And then you're probably going to put Drew Brees back in against the Kansas City Chiefs on December 20th. And I just don't – I don't understand what they are doing with Taysom Hill. I don't get it. I agree with you. I think it's going to cost them a playoff position. I think it's going to cost them a first-round bye. And if they keep running it this way, that's what's going to happen. That Broncos defense is no joke. Mm-hmm. Taysom Hill, the way I saw him play today, he is not going to be able to do anything against the Denver Broncos. And we're going to see something like we saw in Carolina today, and we might see a shutout of a team we didn't think was going to get shut out. Because that is not...
Yeah, their run defense is stout. And, we saw it with New England. They, Denver came up into New England and just, they stopped Cam Newton, and you can't tell me that Hill is a better option than Cam Newton.
Taysom Hill did take a couple of plays where he did make some things happen with his legs. He did make the drives go longer. And what happened, like on a couple of those, I see him scrambling in the pocket and getting away, and then he floats one up and gets lucky because the Atlanta Falcons defense is so bad, they just blow coverage.
Yeah, they're playing soft zone.
Yeah, and he got away with a lot of stuff today that he's not going to get away with in Denver next week. So
they're going to play. They're going to play hard press.
See what happens? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Jameis Winston isn't the quarterback before the end of the game in Denver. So I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand the move, and I really don't know what they're doing over there. Speaking of not knowing what the hell they're doing. The NFC East.
Nobody wants it.
What in the... All right. So, the Philadelphia Eagles are 3-6-1. They sit on top of the division. The other three teams are tied for second place, a half game out at 3-7. I don't know what to say about that. It's almost so bad that it's fun. You know how you go and see a movie? Like, for me, it's Napoleon Dynamite. Oh. It's so stupid that every time it's on, I watch it because I laugh my ass off at it. Mm-hmm. It was one of those movies that was just so dumb. It was good. Now, and I feel like that's what the NFC East is. I feel it's so bad that it's fun to watch.
Now, the draft goes by your standings at the end of the year. Now, would a let's call it 5-11 team, would they be bumped up into like the 20th draft spot because they technically win their division and they're in the playoffs, rather than going by their overall record? So maybe they don't want that high draft pick.
Yeah, if you win this division, you are in the playoff seeding for a draft pick. So you go
from like a 6th pick to a 20th.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's one of those things where it's almost, does anybody even want to win this thing?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Nobody wants that 20th overall pick. They're all trying to, they're trying to tank and get, Fields or the guy out of Florida or, the North Dakota, kid, whatnot. Because we all know if Lawrence is in there, he's going one to, the Jets or whoever. Yeah. But, I honestly prefer Fields.
Well,
I think he might be a better option.
The Giants aren't drafting the quarterback. They feel like they have something in Daniel Jones. I don't know why.
Marcus Russell.
Do. Yeah, I feel it's a Mitchell Trubisky is what I feel like. That's the path that they're taking. They're going to go with him for at least the next 3 years and see what they have before they decide whether or not they need to move on from him. And I'm going to tell you right now, they need to move on from him.
Yeah.
The New York Jets probably aren't taking a quarterback. They shouldn't take a quarterback. I think Sam Darnold is really good. You just have to learn how to build around him. I really like Sam Darnold. I would take Sam Darnold in Chicago.
I think they move him, and then I think they go with Lawrence and they move him and try and get a low first round pick or
I think
second.
They trade the number 1 for a haul. That's what I think because I don't think that you get in Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or Ian Book,
that's not that one answer, but.
I don't think you're getting anything that is going to alter your organization because your organization is so poorly run that you're not a quarterback away.
Mm-hmm.
You are a ton of pieces away. So if you trade that coveted number 1 spot to a team that is willing to give you their first-round pick this year, their first-round pick next year, and a couple of thirds or something like that, you make that trade.
Yeah, how about Miami? They're sitting pretty right now. They got Houston's first overall pick this year. That could be a top 5 pick.
Yeah, no, and I started thinking about the teams that need quarterbacks, and then I started thinking about the quarterbacks that are out there. I'm not really high on Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you've heard me go back and forth with Benzie about it. I'm not real high on Trevor Lawrence. I do like Justin Fields. I really, the more I watch him, I like him even more, and I almost feel like he's the best quarterback in the draft. I really like Kyle Trask.
Out of Florida.
Kyle Trask is so good, man. And he is fun to watch, but he is so
I like that tight end,
good.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's sucking up to us?
I think he missed us. Went away for a week or two, and he's
who doesn't miss us though?
What's going on, Chip?
Nice to see you, Chip.
The British sports show I watch has a segment called "Who Are Tanking for Lawrence?" True story. Very funny what they say. See, I really like Kyle Trask. I like Ian Book a lot. Watching him more and more at Notre Dame, I think he can be a very successful quarterback in the NFL. But he's probably, a mid-second round guy. Same thing with Kellen Mond, probably a mid-second round guy. But you start thinking about the teams that need quarterbacks and what the Jets can do, man. The Jets can really do something big. And if they're smart, which they're not, but if they're smart, they trade that number 1 pick, man, and build around Darnold. Darnold is a very good quarterback who just has nothing around him. No coaching staff, no weapons, no offensive line, no defense. They've got nothing in New York, and they need a ton. They need to trade that number 1 draft pick. Chip Cannon Jr. chiming in says, "Hey, Dad."
What the?
Welcome back, Combs. Oh, hey, Hoffy, says Chip Cannon.
Yes, we are back.
At you for? We got Chip Cannon and Chip Cannon Jr. coming in.
Who is it,
Chip
Ben?
Cannon says, my team won today. Who the hell is your team? I'm going to go with Cleveland Browns.
It's got to be the Eagles.
They lost today.
Yeah, well, that's a win for them.
That's kind of true. That is kind of true. But no, so I just don't. I don't think that the New York Jets should trade that number 1 draft pick. I just don't. But getting back to the NFC East, the Eagles, the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Redskins. oh, sorry, the not Redskins anymore, are fighting for a division that I'm telling you right now, the winner is going to have 6 wins at the most. I mean, the Cowboys pulled one off today. They got lucky and pulled one off, but I don't know. I don't. Is Washington drafting the quarterback, you think?
Yes. I don't think they have a choice because Alex Smith isn't, I think Alex Smith is their answer for right now, and I don't think that's your answer long term. So, yeah.
Do the Cowboys draft a quarterback? That's an interesting one.
See, I can understand if something happens where I can't think of the kid's name out of North Dakota State, where if he falls into the low, the high teens, 19, 20, 21, 22, I could see Dallas trading back,
You're talking about Trey Lance?
Yeah, I could see Dallas trading into that spot. Still drafting with their first pick, whatever they want to get, but then trading into that spot and potentially getting a quarterback if someone falls into that, similar to the Lamar Jackson with the Ravens. They traded, I think, with the Patriots or whoever to draft Lamar Jackson with that last pick. So I could see them trying something like that, but I don't think they're looking for a replacement. I think they get one because he falls into the right spot and they're just, for a backup plan.
Right. Look, I don't know. I don't know what they do, but they got to do something. And I don't think that they draft a quarterback in Dallas. I do feel like they're going to draft one in Philly. So the point that I'm getting at is, should the Philadelphia Eagles say to hell with this year and tank the rest of the way to get a higher draft pick, to get whether or not they're going after Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, Justin Fields, or do they go out and give the Jets a haul, go out, do what you can this season, win the division, give the Jets that haul, and get the number 1 pick and go get Trevor Lawrence?
I think that's another organization that needs more than just a quarterback because, Carson Wentz has been garbage this year, but, last year, I think that, you need a lot more than just a quarterback because it's not just Wentz. Wentz is costing them games this year, but he wasn't costing them as many games last year, and they were still losing. So I think it's a whole team, whether it's a culture, a coach thing, I think there needs to be some shakeup with the roster because, it's on paper, too. They got a pretty decent roster. They're definitely underperforming, but it's definitely something that needs to be swapped.
Yeah, so I don't know what they do. I would definitely make that trade though if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles. But all right, so we're gonna take a quick break, and when we get back, we will talk about the Sunday night game going on right now, and we will also get into some UFC talk. So join us. We'll be right back here in about 90 seconds. All right, guys, we are back, and I'm watching the Sunday night game here, man, and the Las Vegas Raiders are already on top of the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs are driving right now. The Kansas City Chiefs just can't seem to beat the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know what it is about this Las Vegas Raiders team and this Kansas City Chiefs team, but they just struggle with the Raiders, and I don't understand it. Are the Raiders better than we thought they were?
I don't know. We saw them against New England. They didn't look too sharp, and I mean,
we've seen a lot of teams not look too sharp
right.
against other competition. But.
Right. I think it always comes into the divisional games, and we always, Green Bay, Minnesota. We always, Detroit, Green Bay. No one, thinks that they're going to be in it, and they are just because of the divisional games. They get. I think Gruden's just got that it factor when it comes to just motivating and getting his team going, and it's not hard to get a team going for a divisional game like this. This is the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry of football, so here we go.
Buck says, "Thanks, Hoffy."
For what?
Telling the truth. Says division games are different games. You're correct.
Oh,
You're
see?
agreeing with Buckheister, basically. So Buckheister said the same thing. So I said the Chiefs
Geniuses
were
think
looking for
alike
revenge today. I said that the Chiefs were looking for revenge today. They were not happy after losing their only loss of the season to Las Vegas, and then Vegas taking a trip around the stadium in Kansas City, a victory lap, if you will. and Kansas City was not happy about that. So I picked Kansas City to win this one and win this one big. And I don't know, man. I mean, maybe I'm just overlooking the Las Vegas Raiders and Derek Carr. I don't believe that they are a legit threat in the AFC. I definitely don't think that they're a legit threat to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC West.
No, what are they? 3 games behind them right now? So it'd be 2 games.
2.
Yeah,
2 games.
They're 2 games behind them right now.
Yeah. So if they win tonight, they'll be 1 game back.
I hope they go up 49-0, and then Mahomes takes them back and beats them 59-49. So when I go into work tomorrow, I can just shit on every one of my coworkers.
Oh my god, man! Our Raiders are good.
In the AFC West,
in the playoffs, they will win a game.
That don't win you no Lombardi trophy. All that does is bump you up in the drafting order, and
Yeah.
I don't know. You want to do that?
The Raiders are. I mean, the Raiders are already going to get. I mean, they're going to be at where they're going to be at. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're decent enough in the AFC to be in the playoffs. You got 9 teams in the AFC sitting at 6-3 heading into this week. 9 teams in the AFC sitting.
Yeah. What's their remaining schedule though?
That's insane.
I love them to. Yeah. Yeah, because they play against their competition. They'll beat teams like the Saints, who they shouldn't beat, but then
But they've got an easy schedule. They got the Falcons, Jets, Colts, and Chargers left. And then Dolphins and Broncos. So other than the Chiefs,
they'll lose to the Broncos.
They got the Colts game. That'll be a good game.
They'll lose that.
The Dolphins one will be a tough game. And I mean, the Chargers. Look, the Chargers are coming on strong. I really like what they're doing there. I like Justin Herbert a lot. We
saw their game come down to the wire against, in their first game against each other. So that's going to be a good one. I could see the Chargers pulling that one off.
Yeah. So I still see 1, 2, 3.
I see 3 potential losses.
I see at least 4 wins though as well. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, including tonight's game. So that's 7 games left. And
I could see him going 3 and 4. I could see him going 5 and 2. That's
right.
It's
right. So I mean, they're definitely beating the Falcons and the Jets, right? So even if they lose
100.
tonight, they'll be and they just picked off Mahomes. It looks like and ran it back for a pick 6. I don't know. What did I miss? I just looked up in the middle of that play. They were running it back.
Gonna get mad.
But at any rate, it looks like they're keeping it where it was. So
I see that
botched play. But at any rate, you've got if they lose tonight, they're at 8-4. They're going to beat the Falcons. They're going to beat the Jets. So, or that's where they would be once they win those 2 games. So it'd be 8-4 heading into the Colts. If they win tonight's game, they're only a game behind Kansas City, and they've got the Falcons and the Jets over the next 2 weeks. And the Kansas City Chiefs have...
They got Tampa Bay still. I know that.
Yeah, they have Tampa.
They still have New
Tampa
Orleans
next week, and then the Broncos the week after that. The Dolphins, the Saints, and the Chargers. So the Chiefs have the hardest schedule moving forward. Are the Las Vegas Raiders a legit threat in the AFC West?
No, even if they win tonight, I'm still not worried about them overtaking the Chiefs. I could understand them winning a game in the playoffs if they play against whoever wins the AFC South, whether it's Indianapolis, maybe Tennessee. I could see them, competing in that game, but I don't see them beating anybody else.
Could they beat the Ravens?
The Ravens aren't going to be in the playoffs.
Ooh, what?
Ravens are not going to be in the playoffs. And if they are in the playoffs, they're going to be a wild card, so they're not playing against them. So, they're definitely not playing them in the first round. If they play them in the second round, sure, but I don't think the Ravens are going to get there, or if they get there, they're both going to be wild cards. They don't play each other. But I think the Ravens get bounced in the first round if they even make it there.
Who would have thought that right now in week 10, or week 11, that the Pittsburgh Steelers would be 10-0 in the AFC North, the Cleveland Browns would be in second place at 7-3, and the Baltimore Ravens would be behind them at 6-4. I mean, that's mind-boggling to me. The Cleveland Browns look really, really good. Mm-hmm. Really good. They look like one of those teams that can sneak up and might mess around and end up in an AFC Championship game.
Yeah, Beckham being out almost has benefited them in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now they are the sixth, the sixth seed in the AFC. And, I mean, they're ahead of the Ravens, they're ahead of the Dolphins, they're ahead of the Broncos, ahead of the Patriots, who, I told everybody, don't read too much into last week's win. It was Bill Belichick coming off of a bye week, and they just, it was a trap game, and they won the game. I said, don't read too much into it. They're going to lose to the Texans this week, and they're... I'm telling you right now, the New England Patriots are still a 6-10 team. They lost to the Texans this week. They're going to lose to the Cardinals next week. It's going to be a good game with the Chargers. They'll lose to the Rams. They'll lose to the Dolphins. They'll lose to the Bills. I see maybe 2 wins left for them this season. I see maybe the Chargers, and they'll definitely beat the Jets, but...
I think they pull off one that they're not supposed to pull off, whether it be against the Rams, not the Bills. Maybe I could see them beating the Dolphins, but I think they beat one of those teams that they shouldn't, and they might make it to 7. But I don't wish that. At this point, they should just be tanking, give it up.
Bill Belichick says it's disappointing, but we'll turn the page and move on. I still have a lot of confidence and belief in the team. If we could just do things a little bit better, I think the results would be different and better. Well, I mean, yeah. If you do things better, the results will be better. So, thank you, Captain Obvious. And I don't know. I had them at 6-10 before the season started. I still have them at 6-10. Their schedule down the stretch is not very easy. They're not a very good football team. And I know all my New England friends, Hoffy, you included.
No, they suck. I'm honest with you. They fucking suck.
Right, but it's not that you're happy about it. I mean, you guys, you New England fans, you're a passionate bunch. You're annoying as hell, but you're a passionate bunch, and you love your teams. And losing is not acceptable. But that's what this team is. This is a 6-10 team. And I think
it's happy very
safe to say
Bill has to eat some humble pie this year.
Yeah, I think it's very safe to say we were having the arguments. You kept hearing earlier in the season, was it Tom was a system quarterback? So was Tom better or was Bill better? I think it was to be honest with you, if they have Tom Brady this year, are they 4-6 right now?
Maybe even not even that. Cam's gotten some games for them with his legs. That first game against the Dolphins, he broke the record for most rush yards in a game by a quarterback for the Pats. That second game against the Dolphins, not the Dolphins, excuse me, against the Seahawks,
Yep.
Cam Newton, got us back with his legs. We don't have the receivers right now that Tom Brady would need. I don't think Tom Brady helps this team. This team is built right now around needing a mobile quarterback such as Newton. I think that was their best bet. And I think, I wouldn't have been surprised if Bill found a way to go 9-7 because, Newton, if he was going to have MVP like season, but
Yep.
I don't put this season on him. I put it on, again, the draft picks and just the personnel around him, not performing and just, again, we lost some injuries and then the COVID, season and such. So it is what it is, but.
Yeah. So let's transition here. Let's talk UFC. I know we've talked a lot of football today. We got about 12 minutes left of the show. So we had last night was UFC 255, and I was on record saying Figueiredo was on upset watch.
No,
there was definitely a chance that he could have been upset last night, and he went out in the first round, man, and absolutely dominated. Ends up choking him out in the first round to win that one, and then immediately after signs a deal to defend the title again at UFC 256. And this time he's going to be fighting Moreno.
Yeah, he's a scary dude.
Moreno is a legit threat to be the champion after UFC 256. I think Figueiredo let his emotions get the best of him in deciding to take this fight so quickly. But
I don't know, man. The way he stalks his prey, he has that look in his eyes of Are
you talking Figueiredo?
Yeah, Figueiredo. I don't know that I want to go against him at all. Now, that kid that you're discussing, Moreno, is going to put up a fight, but Figueiredo just has that power that no 125-pound dude should have.
Dude, did you watch Moreno's fight last night?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing, and yeah, but Figueiredo is from Brazil, and that's their thing is jiu-jitsu and rolling around, and so yeah, I don't think that he's going to be able to control Figueiredo on the ground. And Figueiredo is just too dynamic all the way around. I think power on the ground.
I think Moreno is a legit threat to Figueiredo. Moreno's jiu-jitsu is some of the best I've seen. That knockout that he had last night, he's on there pounding away at the guy. The guy puts up his arm to try to stop a blow. He dislocates the guy's shoulder with the power of his punches. Like, this kid is legit. And I've been watching this kid for a long time, man. This Moreno kid has been
scary.
Up and coming, and he's definitely he is probably going to be Figueiredo's toughest challenge to date for sure.
Yeah,
by all.
I could see it being a tough matchup, but that Figueiredo kid is just scary. After watching him against Benavidez and just watching his training videos, and he's 19-3 now. So yeah, I don't know that he's lost in
Moreno's
the last
18-5.
fights. Yeah, I know, but Figueiredo is a different animal.
Yeah, it's going to be a good fight. It's probably going to be the next pay-per-view that I actually pay for to watch, because that's going to be a really fun fight to watch. The other one that we had was the women's fight, Shevchenko. I watched her sister fight earlier in the night on the prelims. She looked impressive as well.
Those two are
Shevchenko,
freaks.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, absolutely. And they are just like, they are those chicks that you would be afraid of in a bar.
Yeah, they're not American, but they're your definition of like a Texas freaking Southern girl, like just driving around F-350 lifted, shooting shotguns,
no, absolutely,
packing a lip and calling it a day.
They've got everything except for the freaking the Southern flag tattooed on their back. But they are beasts, and Shevchenko wins in a decision last night against Maya. Shevchenko was dominant in that. Yeah, in that fight.
She gave up that one round, but she hasn't lost a round since her title fight against Jen Jacek. But even that other girl is the size of her arms, her shoulders. She was a big girl, and for Valentina to just throw her around the way she did shows you how, because Valentina doesn't look big by any means. Right. She's, you're shredded, physique kind of type. And the other girl just, had some solid muscles. But yeah, she took control of her for 4 out of those 5 rounds.
So there was another couple of fights there in the prelims that were really good. The Joaquin Buckley, look, this Buckley kid is dangerous too. This Buckley kid is flat out just one of the best pound for pound fighters right now in the UFC, and he is only getting better.
I think we're going to see him versus James Krause. That's going to be a good one. Two boys from the same hometown that hate each other.
He is just, this kid, he's just a big muscle bound dude, and his strikes, when he hits you, it just sounds ugly. Like, you ever hear somebody, like, I've been in a lot of, like, bar fights. I've heard a lot of flesh hitting flesh, and I know that sound. When he hits you, like, when I hear him hit a guy in the ring, I'm like, ooh.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I can almost feel his opponent getting hit. Like,
And he doesn't cut weight either, so he's fighting guys that are bigger than him too. Because I think they said he only cuts like 3 pounds. He shows up at 183 and he fights at 180.
Yeah.
All these other guys are showing up at 200, cutting 20 pounds, and rehydrating and fighting at 200, plus the next night.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then there was the other one there last night. It was, and I thought that the judges did an awful job with this one. But did you see a lot of the prelims?
Yeah, I saw them. Yep.
Okay.
All but the early prelims. So yeah.
So we had Dawkins versus Stoltzfus, and the unanimous decision goes to Dawkins. And the entire time I'm watching this fight, I'm like, man, Stoltzfus is dominating this fight. Stoltzfus is winning this fight, and it's not even close. And all 3 judges scored it 30-27 for Dawkins.
Yeah.
Was I watching the wrong fight? Because
I think
don't
we
know
both
what the hell
were.
these judges were scoring.
Yeah, I think we both were. There was a fight on Tuesday too, Dana White's Contender Series, where the guy was in a headlock and was completely there, and the ref called it off, and he immediately stands up like, "What the hell?" And he was, "Oh, I thought I heard you snoring." So yeah, the judging and the refs have been questionable of late for sure. They got to visit that, especially in Nevada. The Nevada judges are terrible. Dana White's always been, an advocate for that too.
Yeah, and Dana White's also an advocate of don't let it go to the judges' scorecards.
Yeah.
He says that a lot, especially on his show. He says a lot, do not let it get to the judges because you never know which way it's going to go. And that's the truth. That goes for just about everything. If you don't want, a referee's call to affect the outcome of the game, then beat your opponent.
Right.
But this was really bad. This was almost a black eye on the sport, because you almost look at this and like, unless they had money on the fight, there's no way they score this that way.
Mm-hmm. And I think it was the co-main event where the guy definitely won, 2 rounds to 1, and one of the judge gave it, 3-0 when the guy was on his back for like 4 minutes of the first round. It's like, how, so yeah.
Yeah.
I think it should be public. I think it should be up for the fighters to see while it's going on, and I think they should be held, liable and responsible for it.
So you think that they should score it live and say, you know what, heading in a 3rd round, I can look up at the screen like I do in a football or a baseball
why
or
not?
a hockey game and say, oh man, I'm down by 3 right now, I gotta go.
Yeah, because I don't doubt that, a 5-round fight, all of a sudden, it's 3-0 or 2-0 after the 2nd round, and you're in the 3rd round and it's a close fight, and you go, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to give it to this guy so that, we still got to fight, so that in the 4th round he can then win it, and now we're 2-2. So yeah, I don't doubt that there's times where judges just go, because they don't have to show their scorecard till the end, so they just go. So yeah, why not just have it at the end of that round? That way it's, and you can all look at him and go, what the hell are you talking about, or whatever, carry on. But yeah, I think you would probably have less of those.
That's an interesting thought, man.
I really do feel that happens a lot, you know, and I'm the same way as a fan. I'm watching it, and you know, John Jones is my guy. And in that fight against Reyes, people say, you know, that first two rounds he clearly lost. That third round, it was questionable. So the judges go, well, he's the champion. He's kind of down 2-0. Let's give him that round because it was questionable. But they don't have to put that up or anything, you know. So yeah, I don't doubt that happens to just keep a fight competitive kind of thing in the judge's eyes.
Do you think that if they do the real-time scoring, do you think that sways the way a judge rules a fight? Like, do you think that fight last night goes differently if they're going real-time scoring?
I mean, I would hope so. I mean, on that one was just clear. Just I don't know what the hell what they were seeing there.
Right.
So yeah,
I thought maybe they got the judges got the names mixed up. Maybe they didn't know who they were watching.
Yeah. So after the second round, Dana White can go over and go, what, you know, I don't know, maybe he can have the authority to pull those cards and go with another card, you know, with 3 other backup judge. You know, I don't know. They definitely got to visit it. I know
Dana White can't get involved in that though because
right. It's all with the athletic commission and such. But yeah, I think they got to figure something out.
And that just, I mean, to me, I was watching that fight, and I was watching it with my father-in-law, and we're watching it, and we're like, damn. And then we saw the decision, we're like, what are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. Like, who won that fight? And the guy, he's getting his hand raised, and he's all bloodied up. He's got black eye swollen. The other guy looks like he didn't even get touched.
Yep.
And he's the one that won the fight. I was like, oh my word. Like, I really thought that the only way they did that is if they mixed up the names. They didn't know who they were watching, and they were just writing down numbers.
Yeah, they had the rematch yesterday, too, with Paul Craig versus Rua. And their very first fight, same thing. They called it a draw. And Craig's sitting there looking pretty, and the other guy's sitting there with his eyes shut and, you know, blood gushing. And how do you call that a draw when one guy's standing there ready to, you know, fight another 5-round war, and this guy's ready for the hospital?
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, guys, so that is all the time that we have for now. We will be back next Sunday night, and when we come back next Sunday night, we will be talking a whole lot of baseball, and that is going to be the focus of the show from here on out. We will have our top 10 chokers. We have top 10 chokers. We will decide on our top 10 list. We will certainly post it on the site for you this week. We'll also be more engaged on the site with more baseball talk, some hot stove stuff, what's going on. Definitely next week, I definitely want to touch on the debacle that is Robinson frickin' Cano. And we will talk about that guy next week as well. So, Hoffy, man, as always, been fun. Anything you want to say to people before we get out of here?
Peace out. We'll see you next week. Let's have at it. Have a week, everybody.
Later, people. Misery loves company like all this over custody. It's garbage, just a fucking